What is up, everyone? We are here talking about UFC 325 with Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes 2. So I was going to try to predict all these fights on the card, but to be honest, I don't know any of these guys in the early prelims. Like, I haven't seen anything about these guys. The only guy I've seen is this guy, Aaron Tao, just because of the face tattoo. Other than that, man, I don't know any of these guys. So I'm just going to kind of skip over the early prelims. You can kind of make your own guesses for who's going to win. But for me, man, I have no idea. It's so hard to go off a contender series, and you got nothing to go off of. I'm sure the guys' records are a lot better than this, too. 2-0. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't really make much sense. So we're just going to go on to the preliminary card, because I know a lot more of these fighters than I do the prelims. So, starting off, Jonathan Miklavh versus Oban Elliott. I have been a little torn on this one. I think this fight was supposed to happen a while ago, but ended up not going through because I think Miklavh got injured or something. I think Miklavh is pretty good, and I think Oban Elliott is pretty good. But I think with Elliott, the issue is he was given like a higher ceiling, and he just doesn't seem like he was able to ever reach that. He's coming off a loss. He kind of just relies on takedowns to kind of rack up control time and stuff like that and to get the win. I just don't think that Oban Elliott's looked that impressive in his fights, so I'm actually going to go with Jonathan Miklavh to win this fight via decision. I think his boxing is going to be better as long as he stays on the feet and can stuff the takedowns of Oban Elliott. I think he's got this in the bag pretty easily. So we can go over the odds real quick, since UFC doesn't post them for some weird reason, even though they're like huge in the poly market, it seems now. Jonathan Miklavh is actually the favorite. He's a -135 with Oban Elliott being a +114. So pretty close odds. I could see it going either way. It's a pretty flip of the coin. Who's going to win, who's going to lose. But I think I'm going to side with Jonathan Miklavh on this one. So moving on, we got Jacob Malkoun and everybody's favorite fighter, Torres Finney. I'm joking, by the way. I don't like Torres Finney whatsoever. I think he's an absolute disgrace to the sport. He's super boring, doesn't work on ground and pound, just relies on wrestling to get you down, control you. He's just a big, stocky dude, and that's what he'll do to his opponents. I'm hoping that Jacob Malkoun can somehow just piece up Torres Finney and try to get him out of there via TKO or something. Because the way I see it right now, I'm worried for Jacob, just because Torres Finney is so strong and he'll work on those takedowns, and that's all he'll go for. I'm hoping Jacob can test his chin, and we'll see where he goes from there. But I'm going to pick Jacob Malkoun just based on the fact that I don't like Torres Finney. A lot of bias in this pick. But I can't pick Finney, man. I don't want him to win whatsoever. And yeah, I can't bring it to myself to pick him. Even though he may win by decision. In the most boring fight, in the most boring fashion you've ever seen in your life, Torres Finney could win. But I'm going to side with Jacob Malkoun to get this one done. I could see via split decision, just based on the control time from Finney and maybe on the stand-up from Jacob. But I got Jacob Malkoun by split decision to win against Torres Finney. So the odds are pretty, they're more leaning towards Jacob Malkoun. He's a -166, while Torres Finney is a +140. I think that's mostly due to what I've kind of said, is Torres Finney isn't a fan favorite. He's very boring, and his last fight was insanely boring. So I'm hoping Jacob can get this one down, and hopefully after this, Torres Finney gets cut from the UFC. So moving on, I'm going to be hate watching that one. Cam Rouston versus Cody Brundage. So Cam Rouston looked really good against his last opponent. I can't remember who he fought, but I was shocked and blown away by how speedy this guy was and how technical he was. He was very reminiscent of, the city kickboxing guys, because he trains there. And he looked really good, you know? He looked really, really good. And he KO'd that guy, I think, in the first round. I can't remember who he fought exactly. Let me check real quick. It was against Petrowski. Yeah, it was a quick fight. And he's going against Cody Brundage at this one. And Cody Brundage, man, he continuously just manages to get these fluke either draws or DQs or losses on other people's records just because there's an eye poke or a groin strike or something like that. It's so annoying. This is, again, another little biased pick, but Cody Brundage, man, I don't think he's that good at all either. Like, I don't think he's good in any regard. I think Cam Rousen is much better fighter, better on the feet. And I think that's just what it's going to come down to. I think he's going to KO Cody Brundage, TKO him, and I'm sure that somehow after the fight, Cody Brundage is going to find a way to dispute an eye poke or some shit like that. So this guy, yeah, he's going to lose against Cam Rousen. I know I'm picking all the Australians so far, but trust me, we'll mix it up in a second. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Cam Rousen to get a TKO. Let's say like the second round. I'm feeling the second round. The odds have it for Cam Rousen. It's a minus 360 for him. A pretty big favorite, while Cody Brundage is a plus 285. The over and the under are like basically identical. Over 1.5 is minus 110, while the under is a minus 120. So people are suspecting it's going to be in the realm of probably like the second round. So that's my pick, second round TKO for Cam Rousen. This could be a quick fight. Maybe it's in the first round, but I'm going to side with Cam Rousen to get a TKO in the second round. I know I repeated myself several times right there, but I'm trying to go through this as fast as I can because last video was a little bit long. So I want to kind of shorten it up a little bit. Junior Tafa versus Billy Alicana. Now, I got to keep this real. I don't think Billy Alicana is that great. He went to a very snooze fest decision with Ibo Aslan, and it was terrible. I think he's got another win since then, but I don't think he's that good. Now, Junior Tafa, on the other hand, I think he's garbage. I don't think Junior Tafa is good in any regard. He got submitted by Tuco Tacos, and he's coming down from heavyweight. And it's just like, man, this guy is not good anywhere. Like, he is just trash. And I'm kind of surprised that this is the headline in the prelims. To be honest, I don't think this should be the headliner. I think the previous fight should be. But this is a pretty low-level fight. And it's basically just comes down to who is worse. And I think Junior Tafa is so much worse than Billy Alicana. I think it's going to be, I don't know, a decision for Billy Alicana. Unless he can get Junior Tafa down and submit him, I could see that happening. Just because Junior Tafa, once he gets on the floor, it's just nothing. You know, he's got nothing for you. So I'm going to kind of do a Hail Mary. I'm going to go Billy Alicana via submission in the first round. In the first round. Screw it. I don't care. Moving on. Oh, yeah, the odds. Sorry. Junior Tafa is a plus 205, and Billy Alicana is a minus 250. The under 1.5 rounds is actually plus money at plus 100. And, yeah, I don't see an issue with taking that, to be honest. So, yeah, Billy Alicana is going to win this one pretty soundly. Speaking of a pretty easy win, if I can click on it. Okay, I can't click on this one for some odd reason. But we're talking about Kulin Salkild versus Jamie Malarkey. So this is a short or late notice replacement for Jamie Malarkey. He was supposed to fight, Kulin Salkild was supposed to fight, what was his name? Rangju? Which would have been a really good fight. I was really looking forward to that one. But Kulin Salkild is now fighting Jamie Malarkey, another Australian. Dude, this is going to be competitive at all. Like, this is going to be such a quick fight. I think Kulin Salkild is going to get Jamie Malarkey out there so quick. In a way, I'm a little worried because I wonder if Quillen's going to have some respect for Jamie just because he is a fellow Australian, that he's going to like kind of pull his punches. But I'm hoping Quillen just makes quick work, under 1.5, and we move on. But he's on a crazy run right now. Young guy. Jamie Malarkey, on the other hand, has been kind of just like through the ringer. He's a a crafty vet, you could say, but I don't think Jamie's gonna have anything that's gonna threat Quillen, and Quillen's gonna very soundly beat Jamie Malarkey via TKO in the first round. As long as Quillen doesn't respect him, just because he's Australian, I think he's going to get him out of there so damn quick. I don't have the odds on DraftKings. I can't see anything on here. But I think on other websites, it's having Quillen as a pretty sizable favorite. Understandable. I think he's like a minus 800, maybe like 700 at this point. So, yeah, you would probably want to do like an under or method of victory for Quillen. But I got Quillen self-killed to get a first-round TKO over Jamie Malarkey. Actually, scratch that. A KO over Jamie Malarkey. My 500-pound life versus Taliesin Teixeira. In a way, I feel bad for Tuivasa because he's been out of the game for a bit. He's coming off a 5-fight losing streak, and the UFC gives him a 6'7" young guy. I think Teixeira is like 26, I think. And man, I think Teixeira is pretty good. He got fluked by Derek Lewis. No shame in that. And Ty, on the other hand, has looked like a blob. He's looked so much bigger in like recent pictures. He doesn't look like he's in good shape. He doesn't look like he's motivated. Like I said, he's coming off a 5-fight losing streak. He's going against someone who's young, who wants to get that win back against Derek Lewis. I just cannot pick Tuivasa in this one. I think Teixeira is going to knock him out so quickly, and Tuivasa is going to, do his shoey and then retire. I think this is a bad matchup for Tuivasa. And the odds have it in favor of Teixeira anyways. Teixeira right now is a minus 298, while Tuivasa is a plus 240. The under 1.5 rounds is a minus 260. So there's a lot riding on the under 1.5, which I understand. I just don't think Tuivasa is motivated anymore. I think this is going to be his last fight, and I think it's going to be it for him. And it's sad to see, but I think he's just gonna. That's just how it's gonna end for him. So I'm picking Taliesin Teixeira to win over Tai Tuivasa via KO. Next, a very tough fight to pick. I have been going back and forth in this one. I really don't know who's gonna win. Rafael Fiziev versus Mauricio Ruffy, or Rufi, however you say it. Ruffy's coming off his first loss in the UFC against Benoit Saint-Denis, who we'll talk about after this fight. And Rafael Fiziev has just gotten a win over Ignacio Bahamondes, who was a young prospect. Before that, he went on a 3-fight losing streak, losing to Gamrot, losing to Justin Gaethje, and I think before that as well, I think he also lost to Justin Gaethje. I think he's lost him twice. Fiziev is good. Don't get me wrong. I think his Muay Thai is really good. I just don't think his KO power is as crazy as people say. I was going to pick him against Charles Oliveira. I'll be real. I just didn't believe in Charles because going against someone who is really good Muay Thai and Charles having like pretty lackluster defense overall, it was a tough pick. In this case, Mauricio Ruffy, he got submitted by Benoit Saint-Denis, I think in the end of the second round, I believe. Maybe it was the third round, but he looked okay in that fight, but just looked like he couldn't really counter strike as much as he could because Benoit was just constantly pressuring, and I think Ruffy just struggled to set up anything. I think in this case, Ruffy really doesn't have anything to worry about with Fiziev. And the fact is, Mauricio has been training with the Volkanovski team. He's been training in Australia. He's getting ready for this fight, and I think he's going to be well prepared. While Fiziev, on the other hand, I think he's going to rely on his same tactics that's, got him the win in the other times he's fought. I think this is going to be an extremely competitive fight. And I don't know who I'm going to pick. But I think I'm going to go with Mauricio. He's a slight favorite right now, which earlier in the betting odds, he was a slight underdog. This one's so tough. I would really advise not doing anything with this one just because it's a tough one to pick. Right now, Mauricio is a minus 122, while Fiziev is a plus 102. So very close odds. The under for 2.5 is a plus 140. I don't know, man. Like, Mauricio has been backed up to the cage before and is like, before the UFC fights, and he's gotten KO'd before. That's likely for Fiziev to like do that. And then same with Mauricio. He could KO Fiziev. This is a really tough fight for Mauricio. And I don't know, man. I picked him to beat Benoit Saint-Denis, and I thought he was going to. And now I'm just questioning because I told myself I was going to pick Mauricio until he reaches the top 5 because I thought he was that good. And he's got a shot to get into the rankings with this one, and I don't know. I'm doubting him, but I'm going to pick Mauricio. I'm going to pick Mauricio to win via TKO in the second round. Yeah. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, moving on. No more talking about this one. I can't do it anymore. Next up, we got Dan Hangman Hooker versus Benoit Saint-Denis, the man himself. Dude, this is a terrible fight for Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker is a beast. I like Dan a lot. I think he has a crazy chin. I think he is a crazy dude. He just loves to fight. He loves to get hit, it seems. But when you're going against someone like BSD, who has looked so good, so much more improved, like I said, submitted Mauricio Ruffy, submitted Kyle Prepelic, which wasn't like a big accomplishment, but still, looked pretty good in that fight, but was a little open to strikes. And then KO'd Beneil Dariush in 16 seconds? Dan Hooker, he's coming off a loss against Arman Tsarukyan, where he honestly got dominated in that fight. He didn't have anything for Arman. I don't think Arman's striking on the feet is that good. Like, it's good, but it's not elite striking. And he was getting tagged up by Arman. And Benoit is going to do the same thing. And sure, Benoit is a little chinny. Dan Hooker can kind of wobble him, I'm sure. I'm 100% sure that Dan Hooker's going to be landing some good strikes on Saint-Denis. But I don't think it's going to matter. I think Benoit is going to keep on marching forward. He's going to, in Joe Rogan's words, he's a marauder. And he's going to maraud forward and just pressure Dan Hooker. I think he's going to beat him on the feet. And I don't know. I can't. I'm stuck between TKO and submission. I think he's going to TKO Dan Hooker. I think it's going to be I'm picking around a lot of second round TKOs, but I'm going second round TKO for Benoit Saint-Denis. I could see a submission as well. This one's a little iffy. I would definitely just pick Benoit by finish. Or under 2.5 for this fight. I think that's just very likely. So that's what I have, man. I just don't think Dan Hooker, this is a good fight for him. Like, he's a good fighter, and I like him, but I just don't think he's that good. I think he's just a fighter that's entertaining and will go into the fire to try to win, but I think he'll just get outclassed by these better fighters. And I think Benoit is a better fighter. So I got Benoit Saint Denis to get a TKO slash submission in the second round. I don't really know, man. I feel like I could see a submission. So yeah, final pick Benoit Saint Denis. He is a pretty heavy favorite though. I don't agree with that whatsoever. So BSD is a minus 310 right now, while Dan Hooker is a plus 250. I don't agree in those odds whatsoever. The under 1.5 is a plus 145. I'd be shocked if this goes under 1.5. I don't think it's going to be that quick. I think it's going to be, I don't know. I would almost just pick the over 1.5 at minus 188. That's a little bit more, I mean, it would be scary just because both these guys are going to just kind of go to war immediately. I don't think there's going to be any breaths and breaks in between. I think it's just going to go all out. So a tough fight to pick, but yeah, I'm going with Benoit to get this one done. Moving on to the main event. Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes for a rematch. This fight should never be happening. This fight should have never been made. I don't agree with this whatsoever. I think Volkanovski should be fighting someone like Mayweather Evloev or Lerone Murphy. Two undefeated prospects in the featherweight division. But instead we got Diego Lopes, who's coming off a win against John Silva, which is a crazy good win. Don't get me wrong. I still think John Silva, I still think of him very highly. But I just hate this for Volk. Volk is older. He's like, I think 37 now. Maybe even 38. I don't even know, actually. He's one of the greatest of all times. You know, he went to a competitive decision with Islam Makhachev. Arguably won the first fight. And then the rematch gets TKO'd or KO'd by Islam Makhachev via head kick in the first round. And then goes on another KO loss against Ilia Topuria. And I'm worried because Diego Lopes has crazy power. But what I have to say is those two guys I just mentioned, Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria, what do you think of when I say those guys? Say those names. They're some of the best fighters in the UFC right now. Islam Makhachev, arguably the best fighter in the UFC right now. Ilia Topuria, right behind him. Diego Lopes, on the other hand, good power, crazy power, good submissions, but he's not technical. He doesn't set up these kind of punches like Ilia does or Islam does. Even in the first fight, you could just see that Alexander Volkanovski was just not feeding into Lopez's his just kind of stand there and brawl mentality, where he just kind of just relies on you staying in the pocket and so he can land an uppercut or land an overhand right. Sure, I am terrified for Volk when he goes out of range in like a straight line, and in the first fight, Diego dropped him with an overhand right. Terrified for Volk. But I have to believe in him. I have to. For all the things I just said, Volkanovski is still one of the greats. He only loses to the greats. And Diego Lopes, even though I do think he's really good, I don't think he's going to beat Volk. I think Volk is going to get this one done once again. In a way, I want to believe that he's going to TKO Diego Lopes in like the 4th round or something, which is likely, could happen, because Volk has that kind of like wear you down fighting style. But I'm going to pick Volk to win via decision once again against Diego Lopes. But trust me, every second of every round, I will be praying for Volk to survive. So I like Volk a lot. He's like one of my favorite fighters right now. He's been one of my favorite fighters for a while. And like I said, it's a tough fight for both guys, to be honest. But obviously Diego Lopes is a little bit more hungry, I would say, and a little bit more dangerous. So right now the odds have it as Volk is a minus 155, while Diego is a plus 130. So pretty close odds overall. Yeah, I would. I don't even know what you would do with this one, man. I would pick. I don't even know. I don't even know what you would pick for this one. I would avoid this one because this is gonna be so stressful. If you really feel in yourself, I'd pick Volkanovski via decision or just the fight to go over 3.5 rounds, which is at a -130. But overall, this one's a really tough one to pick. But I'm gonna go with Volk to win via decision. A 49-46, even a 50-45 I could see as well. So I'm going to go with 49-46 though, just to be safe. And that's going to be it. So that wraps up the UFC 325. I know I didn't cover all the fights, like the early prelims, but to be honest, man, I'm going to be guessing on those. I don't know any of these guys, besides like a few of them in the Contender Series I've seen. But overall, those are my picks for UFC 325. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope I made it a little bit shorter as well, make it a little bit more digestible. And if you guys have any suggestions for future videos, or what your guys' picks for these fights are, please let me know down in the comments, and I'll be happy to respond. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Thanks. Bye.